Hi, and welcome to our podcast. Today, we're going to be talking to two moms. Our title is Mothers and More. So, we're going to find out from them what's it like during this one and a half months, 2 months. What's it like being a mom, and a little bit more of what they have done and what they are going to do coming up next. So, we have my co host, Tina, and we have Enid and Deepa. So, we'll let them introduce themselves. Enid, why don't you go first?
All right. Hi, my name is Enid Pitchen, and I'm an operations manager at a reinsurance company in Dubai. I've got two children and I live with my family. And that's just a little bit about me to start with.
And what about you, Deepa?
Hi there. So I'm an entrepreneur. I have a daughter who's 11 years old, and I've just moved to Chennai after 14 years in Dubai. I've moved to Chennai 6 months back, so that has been a big change in itself.
Okay. Okay, so Tina, why don't we get started with the questions?
Absolutely. So I have my first question for Enid, because I know, Enid, you work full time and you also work as a host on a lot of corporate functions here. So I would like to know what is the thing that has changed in your life or in your family's life after the lockdowns? A lot of people have a positive approach to it. A few people don't. So how do you see it as a mom who did more than two jobs, and right now you're not able to do one of them?
Like you rightly said, it's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives, and it's a bag of mixed feelings and events. So initially, my routine used to be quite hectic and very, very packed days. And as a person, I think I enjoyed that quite a bit. But because you haven't tried something else, you don't know whether you like it or not. And quite frankly, I am borderline enjoying not having my second part of the job. As much as I get my energy off of other people and talking to crowds of 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 people and just captivating and being on stage and having people listen to you, I am also enjoying having baby talks with my 6-year-old and my 3-year-old. Just kind of a no-brainer. So you see that there's very less effort in that aspect. So I am enjoying this time that I've got with the family. It's day 75 for us of quarantine. So we're self-isolating. The children have not left the house in 75 days. And we make sure we don't leave the house at least for 10 days in a row, unless, of course, we need to stock up or buy anything. And that just means that I've basically been out 10 times. And I've only seen other human beings and adults about 10 times in the last 75 days. So I like figures and numbers, if you can't tell already. And I like to quantify my experiences and stuff like that. Some of the positives, just to dial back, I think it's fantastic all this time that we get to spend with our children, which was not happening. As a mom who is 31, I've got kids aged 6 and 3.5. I've got ambition. I've got a lot of things going on in my life, and I wanted to do a lot in very little time. And not on purpose, but of course, you tend to cut corners where you can, and that happens to be your family. You end up taking a lot of their time and giving it to your job, to other people, investing it in your research, in your networking. And of course, you have to sometimes please your friends more than your, family. So you end up giving that time to socializing. So I think juggling all of that really takes a toll on you, whether you know it or not, whether you realize it or not. And I'm enjoying the fact that I don't have to say no to anybody. And I'm basically at home. So I'm sorry, I can't make it to your party, or I can't do your wedding, I can't host your event because we're in lockdown. So I'm really, really milking this. I'm really enjoying the fact that I don't have to offend anyone, and I get to just be a mom and do my job, work from home, my one single job. So I think these are some of the positives. I don't want to call it negatives. I want to call this the downside. And the downside is that sometimes you've had enough. You just want to get out. You want to see what's happening in the real world, because your entire life you've had this routine of go to work, come back, or go to college, come back, you go to school, you come back. So there's always two different places that you go to do a certain thing. Now everything's a bit of a salad, like you're doing everything all together in one day, from one desk, one chair, one house. So I do miss that. I miss that discipline by territory. But of course, we're getting to do everything while we don't have to, stay away from our kids or our husbands or our family.
Yes.
So the downside is that you sometimes kind of miss just getting out and that old routine. Apart from that, I don't think there is a downside to this entire lockdown. I look at it as glass half full. All those things that
Nice.
you complain about not having enough time for your face, your morning routine, your long baths, or you're writing that book on the side, or that research that you just want to do. You get to do all of that now, and the 24 hours in the day are all yours to do what you want with. So I think that is something that I want to take away from all of this. And I think that's fantastic. Like, this entire lockdown quarantine situation has given that to us as a gift.
Okay, so finally, no is acceptable everywhere. That is one good thing, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, Deepa, you are one parent that I know who has a very different approach to a child's education, which I really adore. So, in your view, what do you think that is the one thing that will change from here on?
One thing that will change is education will become, very different, disruptive, and out of the box. With online schooling and with a lot of parents becoming de facto educators, I think they're going to come up with more and more techniques to keep the child engaged in ways that are much better than it was before. When I say that, I mean that a lot of children will be, with now parents spending a lot more time with children, they're coming up with activities to keep their children busy. In my case, I say child because I only have one child, okay? And you need to, so I have really, revisited my 6th grade maths. I have revisited so many concepts that I probably didn't even realize. I remember that existed, like algebra and 6th grade fraction and all of that. So, I have been able to create maths problems on my own. These sums
Okay.
on. I have been able to come up with activities that I did not know I could come up with to keep my child busy. And she has written poetry, she has written essays, she has written a song. We worked on certain projects. So what I'm trying to say is, it is going to get more and more disruptive. And this whole rat race that existed, especially in countries like India, where everyone wanted to, wanted like these many marks, and it was a very stiff competition. People are going to let loose. So and people are going to let children just be, and unstructured learning is sometimes very important. It is important for the child to just get up late, just not take a shower in the morning. If the child doesn't want to, just study, or read a book in their pajamas, all of that. These are experiences that may count as, oh, well, the child is not disciplined, but not really. The child is processing all the information, and at the end of it, what you have is a resilient child, a positive child who knows how to use his or her time, a child who learns life skills. Because my child, I have not been a mom who has cooked in many years. I'm not a person who cooks, okay? And I have started cooking only in the last few months. After we moved to India, and my child has again not been. So I have also been able to get her into the kitchen. She has developed an interest for baking. She has baked. She has started helping out in the kitchen, around the house, with a lot of chores. And I keep telling her that these are life skills you need to know, not because you're a girl, but this is going to help you in life. You need to be self-sufficient. So I feel that this has also acted. The lockdown has also had a lot of positive effect on a lot of children, because they are learning life skills. They are learning to be more resilient. They are learning how to do their work on their own, with not having their, actual educators with them all the time. They are missing their friends, all right. They're missing their, the lunch break with their friends, but they are learning how to cope with it. And they're learning how to cope with change, because, change is a part of life. It's inevitable. My parents saw the India-Pakistan war, in their times. And you read about, or you talk to other friends from Europe, they have seen the revolution or things like that. You know what I mean? So this isn't all that bad. All they're asking you to do is just stay home. So, so I'm sure we can do that, and we've watched so many movies together. We've discovered, we've made, I think the end result is that you will have ideas to educate children in a very different way. And online school might become like the next big thing now.
Okay.
True.
Yeah.
You just
I've
said
got
a
a
sentence.
question.
Sorry, Hira, just stealing
Yeah.
this. I'll just say this and then you can continue. Deepa just said that, parents have started seeing or have let the children be who they are. I hope you guys have watched this movie Tare Zameen Par, and I honestly feel this is the best time to re-release it. It's going to be an absolute hit all over again.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
yeah,
agree.
please go ahead.
Yeah. So I've got a question. Not in the list that we gave you. Okay, just something that, as an educator, I just want to know. What if after this, when schools open, your kids say, "I don't want to go to school. I want to stay at home because I learn just as much." What would you say to that?
I would be very happy to keep her at home because,
Right.
in fact, I wanted to homeschool her. The only reason my child goes to school is so she can. She's a person who loves meeting other kids, and she interacts. I don't believe in the traditional school system at all, actually, because I have done a lot of research on schooling, and
Yeah.
I understand curriculum and all of that. I have read so much. I have met so many educators, so many teachers. I know that children who are homeschooled do much better in life, and their life skills are a lot better than children who go to the traditional school. I mean, traditional schools. So I wanted to do that, but the problem is homeschooling is a big responsibility, and I know that. Right now, I'm at home. I'm not working as much. Actually, I'm not working at all, to be very honest. But so I have all the time to do that. But when I have my full-time job, when I go back to the office or go for my meetings, I may not be able to devote that much time. And it might become a bit of a challenge. So if she says that, she'd like to stay home, I would be more than happy to keep her at home and have a tutor, or have her go with me for meetings and learn something, along with that. And a lot of people are already doing that in India, as I can see, because I'm a part of
Okay.
which says what Unschool India and Homeschoolers India. I'm part of, and I was so surprised because I never thought there are people in India who would homeschool kids, but I was wrong.
Okay. What about you, Enid? What would you say to your kids?
I mean, I've just got a bit of mixed feelings about it. You can homeschool. I think there has to be a way to measure things. So if you
Okay.
as a parent have the understanding and the capability, and you have the presence of mind to do your research, there has to be like a level or set boundaries for what needs to be done when you're trying to homeschool your child. Because a lot of parents, a lot of people, a lot of human beings might have a different perspective on things,
Yeah,
different
definitely.
priorities. So
Yeah.
that's really important. Talking about homeschooling in short, I'm a massive fan of it. I just don't know how to do it. I don't have the time to do it. Like Deepa is saying, that if you're home, it's okay. You can invest your time and your energy and your knowledge into learning it and how to deliver it to your child. Make sure you're covering, all aspects of it. But if you're a working professional and you have other things on the side that you want as an individual to accomplish and do, I think that juggle becomes really challenging. And this is what people do in normal life also. You kind of give up a dream in order to,
Yeah.
be that hamster on the wheel. So for a person who's like, but I also want to do this, and I'm also studying, I'm also doing my MBA, but yes, I've got a child who's about so and so years old. And yes, I'd love to homeschool that child because I love homeschooling. I think it's fantastic. But you only have the two hands, don't you?
Yes.
So I think it is a very debatable slash discussion
definitely.
requiring kind of a subject, and it's not as simple as, what do you think of homeschooling? There's a lot of things about homeschooling that you need to understand in order to make an opinion of it. And I'm saying that simply because I don't understand all of those things to make a full opinion of it. But from my personal experience of what I've had to do with my child, which is not homeschooling, it's e-learning, and there's a massive difference. The information is provided, and I watch when my child is on the Zoom sessions with the teacher. Am I a fan of the way the teacher is handling it? No, I'm not. Do I redo all of what the teacher has done in class? Yes, I do, because I feel like I think I understand my child better. I think I know how to explain this to her, and I want to make sure she's not just reading it because it's, black on white kind of a paper, but I want to make sure that she's understood what she's reading and she's getting the concept of it and she knows how to apply that in different scenarios. I don't think the schools somehow manage to capture or get to that point with every child, because at the end of the day, they are a commercial business and you have to see a business for the business they are. So personally, because I care about my kid, I know what I need to do for them. And I cannot expect all schools, all teachers, all, educators to provide that level of proactive and interactive personal teaching. So yes, there are these benefits of homeschooling that I know a business, a school cannot provide, despite how much they tried. I mean, they'd have to dedicate one teacher per student in order to get to that level of intimate education that we're talking about. So yes, homeschooling has a lot of benefits. Is it for me? I can't do it. So no, I don't know how to do homeschooling. Would I like to do it? No, I would not like to do it. I'd love to do many other things, but I don't think I'm cut out to be a teacher. I can't teach.
Yeah. Teaching is not for everyone, but sorry, Deepa, you have something to say?
Add to what she said, Enid and I both have a daughter each, right? So when you have a daughter, it's more important to make sure that you stick to what you dream, because you're setting an example for your girls.
Yeah, I agree.
My girl is going to grow up thinking, well, it's okay for a woman to sacrifice, her dreams, for her family, which is not okay.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that she gets the right message, and I'm sure Enid's daughter is also getting the right message. So just want to add that. So this is where it's like constantly being at war within you. There's war going. But then my daughter is very clear. She wants to go to and she's even clear about why she wants to go to school. It's about the lunch break. It's about playtime. It's about meeting friends. Nothing else. When it comes to learning, she says that she finishes school. The studies and all that she has to do in a day, she finishes that much sooner at home because she logs in. She doesn't have to commute. So she logs in earlier. She gets up at the same time. She's a morning person. So she's up and ready by 8. So school, she logs in only by 8:30. Here she logs in before 8, way before 8. So, and she finishes, instead of the traditional 3:30, she's done by 2:30. So she knows that it's a lot more effective, at home. But she says, I miss my friends. I miss that goofing. I miss faffing around in school. I miss my lunch break. And that's the only reason I want to go to school. So, well.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's what a lot of kids say. They miss their friends. That social aspect of
and I think that's
school.
a very important aspect of life in general. I mean, socializing. For me, I mean, I'm sure in India, it's even more common to get out, go and say hi to your neighbor and stuff. And we have neighbors out here as well in Dubai. It's once every day at least we step out with my cup of coffee and I look over and I chat to my neighbor and my kids are riding their cycle. So yeah, we are in quarantine, we are in lockdown, but I think that one-to-one human aspect is really important. And you can't give that to your child through a screen. It's very important that they develop that social skills, people skills, likability, how to make short conversations, small talk, how to have an opinion. These things come when you touch, feel, and do them in person, and you can't do that through a screen. So, just to Deepa's point as well, I think the difference between homeschooling is, in my opinion, this is what I do at home. What they cover in school, their concepts and the world and life and everything is one aspect of it. I do active coaching for both of my children about how they would like to be seen by their friends, by other people in the world. So it's very important, back to Deepa's point, talking about as a woman, it's important for your daughter to see how you don't want to give up on your ambitions, on your dreams, just because you have a family, even though my child is part of my family. And this is part of the coaching that I do with my kids, irrespective of what they're doing in school, irrespective of what they're doing otherwise. And this is a whole other beautiful subject that you can talk about or investigate on or do your research on. I think coaching your children is something that you don't need a qualification for. So you just want to be able to coach them in a way that you would have received or probably would have not received coaching throughout your life on how to perceive certain things, what to make of it, or probably just ask questions to see how they perceive it. So this is a completely different ball game. And a lot of the conversations I have with my daughter and my son about life and what they think of it and what they would like to say and stuff like that is all part of that coaching, which I keep very separate from their syllabus and their school and their education. Because irrespective, everyone needs to have an understanding, needs to have a perception, needs to have perspective, needs to have opinions. So this is something I just wanted to add in reference to what Deepa was saying earlier.
Very nice. I really like that. I think I mean, if you didn't know, we consider ourselves coaches as well. So we're not as educators, we're not just, you know, we don't just teach the syllabus, because there's, like you said, there's a lot more to a person, you know, than just what they learn academically. So I think I think Tina has one last question. We can finish off with one last question, and then we'll conclude this, and then maybe we can go off the record and chat a little bit more before we say goodbye.
Sure.
So the final question is, as mums, or should I say super mums, like I always say, what is the biggest takeaway for you and your child or your children during this entire quarantine period? So Deepa first.
Okay, well, when you say, I think the biggest takeaway has been this special, never to take anything for granted. And that's what I keep telling my child. And now, you know, we have begun to do this gratitude exercise every day, because it was just a few days back, I think, just when, you know, this whole lockdown started, that my child was complaining about our villa not having a pool. Okay, she's like, do you know that our neighbors have a nice pool, and every time I want to swim, I have to go there. And you know, I think next time, you know, we need to have a pool, so that if there's a lockdown, we have our own pool. So, you know, somewhere I realized that there was something that she had not, because there were migrant workers in India who didn't have food. There were so many people who died on the roads, and here my child was, you know, talking about not having a swimming pool. So what I did was I showed her a lot of videos. I told her about, and last week there was a pregnant lady who delivered a baby on the roads. So I keep talking to her about things, and now she understands. And you know, I told her that we can't take what we have for granted, and that's the biggest takeaway. Not just as a mom, at a human level. This is regardless of gender, but right now this is what the lockdown has taught us. So I keep telling my daughter, we have a roof on our head, we have food on our table, and many people don't even have that. So we consider ourselves lucky. Yes, I know that we are probably a lot more privileged. We can afford a lot more things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we take them for granted, you know? And that this I have started doing ever since I had my previous maid who would not know how to cut certain vegetables, okay? And I would train her, and she would never get it. And one day, I don't know, I got a bit irritated. I'm like, have you never cooked? Like, you don't know how to do this? So she said, no, ma'am, we've never eaten these vegetables. These are so expensive. I've never bought them in my life. And, you know, I felt so horrible having asked her that. And that is when I realized that there are people, you know, even the food that you eat, that is exotic food for them. So, you know, they can't afford that. So I think gratitude is the biggest takeaway, resilience, and making with change should always be a part of your life. Life is all about change, because nothing is permanent in life except change. But this lockdown has helped you deal with change better. And, you know, tomorrow, maybe the entire education or the school system may collapse. We don't know that yet, right? Because this may become the new normal. Does that mean our children stop studying? No, they won't. They will continue to study the way it is, you know. They will continue. That will become the new normal. So these are the only things that I can think of right now. I don't know if this makes sense, but this is...
No, of course it does.
It makes absolute sense,
Yeah.
And you, Enid?
It's a couple of things. I think, like I said at the start of this, glass half full always. I think that's just a nice way to just look at life in general and just have kind of a positive perspective. Having said that, I don't look at everything glass half full always, but I try to focus on glass half full always. I think a few things, just to overlap a little bit of what Deepa said. These are questions that come up. We did have the opportunity to have lunches with our children. So ever since I've had my children, I can't remember a time that I would have had lunch with them apart from the weekend. So we're all at work. They come home from school. They come home at different times. So my daughter eats much later than my son because he's much younger and he has shorter hours. So I think, and these are nitty-gritty things. These are small things, but they matter to me. So we've, as a family, been eating our lunches and our dinners together for the last 75 days, and we did not know what we were missing. Like, that is just, there's so much incredible amount of information that gets moved around while you're chewing your food, while you're all sitting at the table making a mess and eating. And I think it's incredible how much children register, and even adults. I mean, there's things about my husband who I've been with for the last 15 years that I only find out when we're having a meal together. I mean, I suppose that's why they say when you go out with a person, like, the best thing to do is have a meal, have dinner. So I think meal times are something that is so undervalued right now in this really fast world. And that's something I hope I can continue. Of course, not lunches, but I want to try and have at least one meal with my family every day, and just share all that information that I don't otherwise used to. Apart from that, I feel like time is so overrated. We constantly tell ourselves that we don't have time for this. I can't work out. I mean, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to write that book that I've been wanting to write. I don't have time for that podcast. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. You have no excuses. Like, these are 24 hours gifted to you, and you can do everything that you've always wanted to do. And I think once you go back to the new normal, hopefully this is the new normal. I'm quite enjoying my time off and doing all of this stuff with the total 24 hours that I have. But I think if we do go back to how things used to be, I hope we have learned from this experience that there is time for everything. You just need to make time for it.
Yes.
Like, it's just overrated when you say that you don't have time because you've got your boss and you've got all these meetings and you've got your job and you've got like groceries and you've got to cook a meal. And I just think that there is time for everything if you make time for everything. So these are a couple of things that I'm hoping stick with me, irrespective of what happens a couple months down the line or 6 months down the line, for however long this thing lasts. But yeah, these are my few takeaways.
Cool. Okay, speaking about time, we are actually running out of time here, which ironically speaking. But thank you very much to the both of you for joining us today. I would love to have a chat with you after this. For the rest of you at home, I hope this has sparked a little bit of insight on what a mom is going through right now. I know some of you moms would have gone through different things. Please do share with us, comment, send us a comment, send us anything that you want. Tell us more about what's happening at home. And with that, we'd like to say thank you to the two of you again, and thanks, Tina. Yeah, we'll talk off the record after this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.